Welcome to the BVTV network, coming from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. I love comedy, I love to laugh, and I love to find humor and fun in everything I do. Well, almost everything. I always hope that fun approach is infectious, as I think work is more than making money. Fortunately, my guests also agree because, as they say in this book, work made fun gets done. Easy ways to boost energy, morale, and results. It's a fun book, I've got to tell you. You're going to find out. So I thought it would be fun to find out what they mean. The book is by Bob Nelson and Mario Tamayo. So let's first visit Mario. Hello, Mario.
Hello, how are you today?
Oh, brilliant. Now, travel log time. Where are you?
I am in Southern California in the US, about 30 miles north of San Diego.
Very nice. And it'd be sun shining and things like that, will it?
Unfortunately, today we're looking a lot like London.
Oh, good. Because here in the northeast of England, we've got sunshine. Hey, just like to get one up on the former colonials. Yeah. Okay, viewers and listeners, I'm going to be talking to Mario in two parts, and then to Bob Nelson later in another video in another two parts, to make hopefully one fun video for you to watch. I want first to ask Mario why you felt that the book had to be written, and then in the second part of our chat with him, to pick just three of the many fun examples in the book that he feels are both stimulating and meet the work made fun get done statement. So, Mario, who is Mario Tamayo? Before we do that, what do you do and how do you help people?
Well, what I do is my mission is to help people help themselves to become the best that they can become. And I got my mission, I formalized it early on out of college. And I do that through teaching. I do it through coaching, now all the way coaching up to executives, through leading workshops, leading meetings, and now co-authoring this book.
So when you're doing this work, helping people be the best that they can, do you think it's changed over the years now? Being best in it is in a different way. It's not about making money, is it?
No, in fact, it's about becoming fulfilled. It's about following what drives you, what you really value, and most of the time it's being able to provide and make the world a little bit better. In fact, that's the trend is, how can I help society become better, and how can I do things in a way that I feel fulfilled to do that. And one of the ways that I found early on was that if I'm not having fun with what I'm doing, then I don't feel like I'm all in. I don't feel like my spirit is completely in. I was a physical education major in college because when my older brother says, well, what do you really enjoy? I said, I enjoy playing games and sport. He says, well, then follow that. And I did. And that got me into corporate wellness, which in turn got me into corporate management and leadership training. And I went on from there. And I've been able to take all of my experiences and use my stuff from the past and find that it just recycles itself. And that's the other thing is that I'm finding is fulfilling work is work where that you can recycle your spirit. So that you can always get up in the morning and do things and be driven and be passionate about it. And it's all about remembering, why am I here and what am I here to do?
Yeah, that's very profound. And I think, as you quite rightly say, very much of the moment. I don't say that it's COVID that's brushed us forward on that, but suddenly we are realizing that it's okay to talk about mental health, isn't it? And issues like that.
Oh, absolutely. I myself, I have been diagnosed years ago with clinical depression. And I hid it for many years. I would sometimes I'd get up in the morning or not get up. It was hard to get out of bed, and I would call in sick. And it wasn't until I was probably 33, 35 years old that I said, you know what, this is really no different than diabetes or another physical disease. This one, I don't know why with the stigma, but We are just now hopefully getting rid of some of that stigma, and it's because of the Olympics too, and what's been going on with a lot of the top athletes.
Yes, yeah, excellent. Yeah. Now, Mario, let's move to part one. Why
Okay.
did you feel that this book had to be written? In other words, what's the state of fun in the office today? If you have an office to go to, I have an intuition that fun is a key reason why employees, or lack of fun, why employees love or leave a company, and why they're more productive in the work. So, what's the state of fun today?
Well, let me first say that you're absolutely right. So your intuition, your thinking is spot on. Now, I'm going to give you three reasons why fun is so important at work. Number one is today's employees, today's workers around the world, they expect to have fun. Like I said, if you're going to spend that many hours doing something, it better be enjoyable. It better energize rather than take away. And when it comes to the generations in the workforce, the millennial generation, and those are people who were born between 1980, 82, and 2000, they not only expect to have fun, they demand it. And as you just said, if they're not getting it, they're moving on. So that's the first reason why fun is so important at work. Now, the second one is probably even more important, and that is because it is today's top competitive edge. It is the competitive advantage for organizations having fun. Now, Fortune magazine came out with a recent study, and they put out a list of the 100 best companies to work for. And what they found was that 81% of the employees at the best companies to work for are also having the most fun. They work in the most fun work environments. Now, the companies who applied to be on this list, but were only rated good companies, only 61% of their employees said that they worked in a fun environment. So the bottom line here is employees who are having fun are also the top producers, and the top producers, the most effective employees, are having the most fun. It's two sides to the same coin.
Yeah.
So
isn't it fascinating? Because if you go back years ago, maybe even when I first started work, now, work wasn't supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be serious, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. You know, it used to be in the old days, and we're probably right around the same age, I would imagine.
What, 39?
Yeah, well, 39 and a half for me. But it used to be that people would pay you to come to work because they wanted your hands. They wanted your physical ability. And then years later, somebody got the bright idea that was, you know what? Wouldn't it be great to get people to make good decisions on the job? So then people started being paid for their brains, their head. And then lately, in the last couple of decades, people are now being paid to bring their spirit to work. And I believe that the human is made up of mind, body, and spirit. And I think today's top organizations are providing, and they're addressing, and they're engaging the human beings that they have at work. They're honoring the human spirit at work is what's going on.
Yeah, I like that. That's an extremely well said expression, and you pulled it together very succinctly. Mario, before we continue to part two, let me just remind viewers and listeners of your own website address, which obviously viewers, you can see it on the screen behind me, but for listeners, pencil and paper ready. Here we go. All the W's, www.Tamayo. Now that's spelled T-A-M, T-A-M-A-Y-O, T-A-M-A-Y-O group.com. All the W's, TamayoGroup.com. Your book with Bob Nelson is called Work Made Fun Gets Done. I like that. It's simple, isn't it? And it's published by BK, Barrett Kohler Publishers. Mario, it's a fun read. There is no doubt about it. It is a fun read. I quite like, I have to admit, what I've been doing is, you know, I've been dipping in, go back, you know, it's a dip in, isn't it? It's a dip in.
It is really, it's a reference book. It's not a book meant to be, You read it from start to finish. It's not going to be a page turner in that format. However, it is a page turner in terms of we just want people to read the introduction first because it's broken down by fun for individuals, fun for teams, fun for managers, and then fun for the entire organization. And once you read the introduction and you read our principles of what to do, what not to do, then you go to the section that you're most interested in at that time. And you look at the page, and if you don't find something that resonates with you right away, just turn the page. There's over 400 low and no cost ways to have fun at work.
I know, it is fantastic. It's a fun read, as I said beforehand. Where the value lies is in that huge selection of case studies or examples that you provide. They're brilliant, but the thing is, they're so adaptable. So just take a moment when you've read one, don't say, well, I'm not in that industry. Just take a little bit moment back time to reflect and think, how could I twist that to be appropriate to my business? For this second part, I'd like you, Mario, to take viewers and listeners through just 3.
Okay.
Tell them the story and why you selected each of those 3.
Okay. Well, let me start off with the fact that we've all been working in this virtual environment. So I'll give you an example using Zoom. Now, of course, you can probably use WebEx and Teams and Meet and some of those other platforms, but this one particularly was on Zoom. So this one was a company right here in Southern California. They're called 2Connect. And what they did is they had an art show and a poetry reading. Now, specifically, what they did was they told their staff, they emailed their staff, and they says, you know what, we want you to select a famous piece of art, that was something that everybody would recognize. So it was either going to be a painting or a sculpture. And we're going to give you a week. And what we want you to do is we want you to reproduce that piece of artwork from items that you have at home, in your attic, your garage, your storage area. And then you can also use any online artwork and pictures of yourself, but recreate it. And then when we get back together on our next meeting, Zoom meeting, we want everybody to first show the original artwork and then show your own artwork. And I'll tell you, I was part of that. I got a chance to sit in on that, and it was phenomenal.
Wow.
What people came up with.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Edward Munch? He had that famous painting, The Scream.
Yeah, The Scream.
Somebody did that, and it looked exactly like that, but they were using fruit in the background, and it was just amazing. Irises by Van Gogh was another one. But everybody had a lot of fun. Now, I choose that because, one, people are working from home quite a bit. And 2, it was very fast and easy, and it was no cost. It really didn't cost anybody anything to do. And it was very quick. It didn't take long when people are online together. It took a little bit of time when they were doing things in their homes. But the thing is what I found over the years is when people have an opportunity to be creative, it's not considered work.
I think that's brilliant. Whereabouts in the book do we find that one, by the way?
Oh, gosh, that is going to be in the virtual chapter.
Virtual, right. Okay.
The virtual work chapter. And we paid particular attention to that. We started the book before COVID. But we knew we were headed in that direction of having more and more people work from home. The hybrid workforce now. But with COVID happening now, and by the way, this is the 3rd reason why this book is needed, and that is because of COVID.
Yes.
People, if you ask somebody here, hey, did you have more fun working at home during COVID than you ever have in your work career before? Nobody would say yes. It's people cannot wait to get back, physically with people, face to face and in person.
Oh no, I'm all right about it, because otherwise I'd have to start traveling.
Or if I stand up right now, you'll see that I only have a pair of shorts on.
I was in Boulder, Colorado before I talked to you this morning, and Jerusalem earlier. I'm with you.
You were talking with somebody in Jerusalem.
Yes, and Moscow this week. So I've been all over, and I haven't got jet lag.
Well, I'm going to have to put in a word for you with Joe Biden here in the U.S. I think you would make an outstanding ambassador to any of our friend countries out there.
Yeah, only if I can have Air Force One. Actually, one of my guests the other day, his son was chief in charge of Air Force One. So you're surprised what you meet all over the world. Things are happening though at the moment that make fun. And I think there's fun wherever you look. Now, you've only given me one of the three now. So
Yes.
What's the other two?
Well, I'll give you another one. Is something that I've done myself. So this example comes from me and my co-author, my good friend Dr. Bob. And what we did is when what was the name of this movie? Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
When Jurassic Park first came out, the debut day, we decided we would take our staff from our product development department. We would take them to the movie opening. And we took an afternoon. We took about 3 hours because the theater was right near our work. But in order to do that, of course, we had to satisfy certain conditions with our work manual, our employee manual. So we ended up having to label it a paleontology workshop that we all had to attend that day. So it was with the popcorn, and it didn't cost that much. No. And here's the other thing: is people were going to go see it anyway, and the reason why we chose it was because people wanted to see it. So we decided, you know what, we'll foot the bill for it. It wasn't that much, and it made all the difference in the world, because when in a product development department, we're always working on deadlines, and unfortunately, a lot of our folks would get the work. We're at the end of the line, and a lot of times when we got the work, it was very late. So they'd have to spend a lot of long hours. And we were told by people, little things like that we do in our department that makes it a lot easier for us to get our job done. And we don't mind working the long hours. So it's very effective. So not very costly at all. And then the third one is very popular right now. And Malcolm, you and I have talked about that beforehand. And that is the inclusion of other family members known as canines. So dogs and pets are very big. And this is a general one. And I'll just use an example. This is a more expensive example. It comes from Amazon at their headquarters. On the 17th floor, they have a doggy deck. And it's complete with artificial turf. It has fake fire hydrants. There are hygiene relief areas in the area. And there are stations for TREATSs and COOKIES. I have to spell it out because my two animals are here with me, and they would interrupt our meeting here. But they're big. We've even had it where CEOs having a board meeting will have their dog come up on their lap, and they introduce the dogs. In fact, in the virtual environment, that's what a lot of folks are doing right now. Is they have pet inclusion days, and everybody introduces their pets. They may have their picture on the feed, on their video feed, but they also have their pet's picture as well sometimes. And they say, this is so-and-so's pet. Or this is the owner of Malcolm Gallagher, Malcolm's owner.
Well, that's called my wife. Listen, I really like that one as well, because, when I first started our main BVTV interview, it was March 2020, right at the beginning of COVID, I'd be talking to a CEO who didn't want to be actually on camera because, was having to discover a new world, and would want a PR person next to him and a techie person on the other side, and would sit there rather rigid. Fast forward a year, and that same CEO's, sitting in a shirt slightly louder than yours. And
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said because my shirt is screaming over your voice right now.
Okay, it's aloha.
Yes,
but it's slightly louder, and a little son coming running into the room, and it's just that complete change. And what has been fascinating, Mario, is that the interviews that we've had with those CEOs who have had that change there and are putting a smile on their face now and laughing and everything has been so much more relaxing, so much more rewarding for both of us than that, that rigid.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. One of the people that I coach is a president of one of L'Oreal Cosmetics top divisions. And we had a Zoom meeting, a Zoom session. And during that session, her dog ran in underneath and proceeded to get very sick. And the reaction she had, of course, was a human reaction. And what that did is it just lowers the levels so that people can just be people, and there's no title, there's no standing. It's all about just being equal, and we have a shared experience, which I think is the most important thing. Is fun is all about sharing the experience with ourselves. If we're very introverted and we're doing something on our own, and sharing that experience with other people.
Mario, meeting you has been both a pleasure and fun. The work you and Bob are doing is essential. Work shouldn't be a dull drudge, should it? So thanks for putting life into it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I really appreciate it. You taking the time to talk with me today.
Thanks, Mario. Now I'm off to chat to your co-author, Bob Nelson. Let's continue to explore how to make fun work by meeting Mario's co-author. He's the world's leading authority on employee recognition and engagement. He's worked with 80% of Fortune 500 companies and was named a top 5 management guru by Global Gurus. Fondly known as Dr. Bob, he's authored over 30 books on employee motivation and engagement, which have collectively sold over 5 million copies and been translated into more than 30 languages. So from Nelson Motivation, let's meet Dr. Bob Nelson. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Malcolm.
Hey, it's great to meet the other half of this brilliant book. That's what I'm talking about. Where are you today, by the way? Where are you?
I'm based in San Diego, California.
Lots of sunshine.
Lots of sunshine.
Yeah, don't worry. We get it occasionally in England, once every 2 or 3 years. Viewers and listeners, like with Mario, I'll be talking to Bob in 2 parts. We learned from Mario why this book is necessary right now. So I want to ask Bob how you should go about making the book work for you and your business. Oh, by the way, I've got a little piece of paper, Bob, in the book here, because I want to just pull it open, if you don't mind. It's the chapter 6, Virtual Work. A great chapter, but I love what it says in the beginning. It's a quote by Anonymous: "Everything is better in your PJs." My wife would agree that she does far much more better work for our business here in her dressing gown.
Mine as well. I think out of in the U.S., 42% of employees pivoted to working at home with the pandemic, and of those, some 65% don't want to go back.
No, then here in the UK, they're being forced to go back by government. You will go back, or else we'll.
Really?
Yeah, and there was a rumor around the other day that they're going to reduce the salaries of those who don't go back. But I think that's been backtracked upon quickly. Anyways, I'm going to ask Bob about
that's a little.
Yeah, go on.
I'm sorry. I can't help but say that's a little foolish, because studies show that people are more productive working from home, not even leaving out the commute time and time to get ready for work and stuff like that, that they are better at getting focused. They're not distracted. There's no socializing, and they actually get more done. So it's a little short-sighted to say you have to come back. We're spending money on an office, so you have to come back. It's like, well, let the office go.
Yeah, to save money. Ooh, and listen, another thing about bosses, I sent you a cutting this week before our meeting. Well, it wasn't actually cutting, it was a snapshot of a front page of newspaper in the UK where some bosses are now banning the staff from telling fun and cheeky jokes amongst each other. How stupid. It goes against this book, doesn't it?
Well, with the exception of the cheeky part, because I think it's good to tell jokes, but people can learn clean jokes. It doesn't have to be risky jokes. And I think with the movement of the Me Too movement and the women's rights, that is one of our rules in the book is you don't do humor at someone's advantage. You don't and so it's got to be, so you could just easily have in fact, that's actually an idea that Mario and I have used in when we worked together for over a decade, that we would have people rotate in our staff meetings, starting the meeting with a joke. And some people were better than others, but people had like a week to practice, and so they got better. And and it was all clean jokes. It's all fun, and even if it was a bad joke, people would still laugh. So there's a technique right there.
Yeah, I have to stick to one-liners, by the way, Bob, because I can never do the long joke because I've forgotten what the punchline is by the time I get through it. Now, in part two of my chat with Bob, I'm going to ask him to choose just 3 of the many, and there's over 400 fun examples in the book that he feels are both stimulating and meet the work made fun gets done statement. But first, Bob, tell us who is Bob Nelson, Dr. Bob Nelson, and why your passion for employee recognition?
Well, as I mentioned, Mario and I worked for Dr. Ken Blanchard, who wrote The 1 Minute Manager, which was basically a parable about 3 principles of managing. And the first and most important was catch people doing something right, praising performance when you see it. And I subsequently, when I got my PhD, I focused on that topic. I had a professor, we were talking about, it was a control systems class, so it was management systems, and we were talking about informal control systems. And he made the offhand remark that as proven as this principle is, in fact, the most proven principle of management is you get what you reward, often called the greatest management principle in the world. As proven as it is, most people don't use it. And that had rang true with my experience in working with several corporations. And so I said, I'm going to do something about that. And I wrote a book about ways to recognize employees. And it's called 1,001 Ways to Recognize Employees, and light on theory, but heavy on real life examples. And that book's now in its 64th printing, has sold 2 million copies. Wow. So kind of hit a nerve, really.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, time for part 1. Now, when we met your co-author, Mario, he explained why he felt this book was necessary now. But no idea or initiative is any good unless it's executed. Can you give us your expert guidance on how my audience should go about making the book work in their business? I guess it's not the right way to do it by choosing one of the 400 plus examples and telling people this is what we're doing, is it? Or am I wrong there?
No, you're all right. It's actually better to lead by example. And so if you want to have more fun in your job, start having more fun in your job and do things that are fun. And that could be, so the book goes into things you can do as an individual, things you could do as part of a group, and things you could do as an organization. And so for individually, and we all have rote and routine parts of our work. No one can escape that. And so you can do things to make those tasks. Sometimes they're boring, sometimes paperwork or cleaning up. You can make a game out of it. You can set the timer for 20 minutes and see how fast you can get it done, or you can plan a reward for yourself. If I finish this in the next hour, I'm gonna take a break and walk around the block, or go shopping online, or have a candy bar. So you can kind of play with your mindset to make it fun. We have our publicist at the publisher, Barrett Kohler. She very simple, very almost silly, but her to-do list she calls her fun list. So when she sees that, she just thinks of fun, and helps a little bit to take the edge off of something you maybe dread doing. Now, the same is true in any group you work with. You could be the person, instead of going, oh, boring meeting, oh God, I don't want to. You could be the person that interjects some humor in the meeting and maybe makes a suggestion of what we could do. And so that's a whole lot of ideas there. And as a leader as well, that you can have more control over that. And then organizationally, there's a lot of things that companies do organizationally. There, for example, in one example from the book, the president of Belmont College in Nashville, Tennessee, he took a sabbatical to go visit high-performing companies. And he came back and said, the one thing they all had in common, they were fun places, fun environments. So we need to start having more fun here. Yeah. And so he created a fun committee and took volunteers to be a part of it, and just kind of gave them the charge. Think of fun things to do, and if you need some budget, maybe they provide that. But a lot of times you don't need much budget. You just need some creativity and some willingness to go down that road.
Yeah, and you can think laterally on many of the things in your book, can't you? Yes. In terms of how where it can go and who could be involved. And again, the more you do it. And another key aspect, and you kind of hit on it, is it's not, don't sit around and expect someone else to do it. Get other people involved. And if you're a leader, ask people what they'd like to do. One of the things that Mario and I learned from Ken Blanchard is that the best management is what you do with people, not what you do to them. So you can't say, okay, we're going to have fun, we're going to go do this, or instead say, hey, who would like to do something, who has some ideas, or you might even assign to someone. I had another example from the book. A CEO told me that whenever they did a company activity, he would kind of decide what they're going to do, and no one ever seemed to really like it, and then he gave it to another executive to do the same thing with the same results. And finally, instead of saying what's wrong with these people, they don't seem to like anything I pick, he said, well, let me get someone else on this. And he picked a millennial, a young person, to lead the charge. And he used social tools to survey people and see what and their schedules. And it was brilliant. And he came back with great ideas, things they'd never done before, and then had the vote of all people in the company as to what they wanted to do. And so now, easier to pick winning examples. And for example, the first one they went to a one of these dinner shows that was a medieval times, and they serve you turkey legs and then have jousting, and people just loved it. Families loved it. Everyone loved it. And so sometimes you can try too hard, and you just back off and allow someone else that's maybe more inclined to come up with something. Yeah. Now, you're an expert in employee engagement, but I think there's also another great value in this book, and that's in my many years of coaching businesses. It's they obviously want to get more business, and people like to do business with people they like, like know, like, and trust is one thing, but they also want to do business with people where they think it's a fun company. So I think there's a terrific external value of this here. Get your company feeling fun. The buyers will come to, or vendors or will come to you and buy from you, more customers. I think, is that not correct, Bob?
That is correct. A company that I worked with, Zappos, which went from zero to over $1 billion in less than 8 years. They were experts at having fun, and people were encouraged, and they decorated their office, and they were always doing fun stuff. And when people called in for help, they did online retail, when people called in, you could hear people laughing in the background, and they go, "Yeah, you guys are having a lot of fun there." "Yes, we are." It's like, and I want to be part of that. So they it did promote business, and it actually promoted a lot of hiring too, because people they got such a reputation. People, I got to go work there. I don't care what the job is. I got to be part of that environment, and that happened. They'd have waiting lists of people that wanted to start working there. Same is true at Disney, where Mario and I met, actually, that worked with them for 15 years and known as the happiest place on earth. And that doesn't happen by accident. Let me tell you that they're very skilled at having people feel good about things. And a big part of that was, and we have a chapter on this in the book, on recognition, on ways to thank and acknowledge people when they did a good job, completed a task, or helped out someone without being asked, or one of their core values. All companies have core values. They're not worth much unless you reinforce them and get people using them. So it could be very powerful if you come back to the basics, and this is kind of, we feel today, one of the basics that people want to enjoy, where they spend their time at work. That's where we spend the bulk of our waking hours. So why not make it more enjoyable with the things we do and the people, and still get the work done, because when it's fun, you have more energy. So,
hey, listen, my to-do list is changing after we finish this. It's going to be a fun list at the top there.
Fun list. Another idea from the book. Yes,
it's going to be, I tell you. Another thing, how important, there's terrific value in this book. I don't just mean from the 400 ideas and everything. I mean in its usage. So, for example, at the moment, 1 in 4 workers in the UK, and I think it's the same around the world, are looking to leave their present employer by the end of this year because they were so disappointed in how they've been handled during lockdown. But then there's the opposite way. There's the companies who have really cared for their talent, and they're the ones that are flying at the moment. And that's essentially what you're saying here, isn't it?
It is. And in the US, 4 million employees quit their job just in April.
Wow.
4 million. And a lot of that, one of the changes in the workforce since the pandemic is people had a lot of time to think about their life, and their job is a big part of that. And a lot of them said, I don't like what I'm doing now. I want to do something else. And they're moving towards that now. And so it's very true that we all have choices in life. And if you have the choice to work with people, as you indicated, that you enjoy, and doing the type of work that you feel is more meaningful and giving you value in your life, and maybe part of something larger than yourself, you're contributing to society, who wouldn't want that, and usually you do something that you enjoy, you get better at it, and then you typically are paid more because you're now more of an expert. So it's all kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're in a miserable job, you gotta look at your options and consider changing. I personally feel that so many people, they take a job, first one they get, or maybe the one that paid them the most of some options, and then they come to hate it and hate the person they work for, and are miserable, and then to the point where they can't stand it anymore, or they quit, or they're fired, and then they go do the same thing again for the whole career. That's going from jobs they hate to jobs they hate to jobs they hate, and it's like it can just as easily, or it can make it sound easy. It does take some focus and work. Just as easily say, what do I want to do? What's the road to get there? Let me give you a personal example. My son, who's now off and on his own, but he was very talented as a child with music, and we encouraged that, and he went through 10 levels of classical piano, and then got interested in classical guitar, and did that. Went to music got a music degree and at well-known school in the U.S. Northwestern in Chicago, and then went to USC and worked on a graduate degree in classical guitar. And along the way, he went to work with a personal expert legend in classical guitar in Italy for the summer, and he spent time in Spain learning the lute and time in Egypt learning the oud, forerunners of the classical guitar. It was very deep. He even learned Arabic. I remember him telling, he told me that he could hear tonality in the guitar that he couldn't hear before he knew Arabic. So he was very deeply embedded in this, but he came to a point where he realized it was going to be hard to make a living doing this. Yes. It's not an orchestra instrument or anything. So he reflected on that, and he actually interviewed all his faculty at USC in music, and he concluded it would be very hard to make a living. And even they were still, even though they had full-time jobs, that they were still kind of anxious about their careers. And so he decided to pivot and do something completely different. He went to a computer boot camp that was billed by Forbes magazine as 3 months to 6 figures. And it was immersive, and he learned programming, and he graduated and got 8 job offers. And then, because he had so many offers, he got to choose which best fit his who he was and what he wanted to do. He worked there. He got promoted multiple times, and he basically reinvented himself. So it's possible for anyone to do that. I'm very proud of him that he did. We all had a taste of that during the pandemic, because we all had to pivot a little bit, especially those that work on their own and whatnot, to say, well, that's not working anymore. What else can I do? As a restaurant, a lot of restaurants went to doing more to go, for example, items. So that's part of life. And instead of saying, well, I'm stuck in this little town, or I'm stuck in where I don't have, you can complain forever. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, you got to keep trying. I mean, I pivoted more times than a ballerina, But before we continue to part 2, let me just remind viewers and listeners of your website address, which is, viewers, obviously you can see it on the screen behind me, but for listeners, let me spell it out. It's Dr. Bob Nelson.com. So listeners, DR for Doctor, Dr. Bob Nelson.com. Your book, Bob, with Mario Tamayo is called Work Made Fun Gets Done. Work Made Fun Gets Done, and is published by BK Barrett Kohler Publishers. Bob, I said to Mario, and I truly mean it, it's a fun read. It really is a fun read, and get your mind going as well. And the big value for everyone lies in the huge, I think it's 400 plus selection of case studies and examples you provide. Now, with a bit of thought, all of those are so adaptable to your business. For this second part, I'd like you, Bob, to take viewers and listeners through just three of these, and tell them the story and why you selected each. Over to you. Okay,
and that's hard to do, because everyone has value.
Yeah.
And but I will let me give we were talking before we started about the virtual workplace, and so that's everyone's looking for more stuff to do with that, and it's easy to say, well, virtual, it's you're locked into meetings, you can't do anything, and you can do a lot there. And so let me just give you a virtual idea that's very simple to do, and you can also do it in with people when you're with them as well, and it's called a praise barrage. And it's very simple. It's, hey, before we get into our topic today, let's just go around our group, and as I call someone's name, I like everyone else to speak out and say what you most value about working with that person. Let's start with John. Okay, how about Sally? How about Tom? And it'll take 5 or 10 minutes to do that, and everyone will hear 100% positive
Mm.
feedback from the people they work with. And I tell you what, that's very powerful. It'll make you feel good, and it'll make them feel good that they shared it with you. But you'll hear things that you don't realize that you're doing well that other people value, and you will get better at those. It's human nature. So if someone says you're always so quick to jump in and help out, you're going to be even better at that. And so as a result, you can become a stronger team, and with stronger relationships. So that's a very, very simple one to do. Let me take a different one. We had when Mario and I worked together, we hired we're hiring this is maybe more an odd example. I'm not sure how easy it is to replicate, but the point is you got to look at the circumstances and then find what would be fun in that. So we were looking to hire someone that was very good on the Macintosh for we did custom design projects for training products, and we looked hard and wide for. In fact, we're looking to recruit a whole team, so we evaluated a lot of people, and the best person we wanted to hire. And I remember my staff came to me and they said, "Well, okay, we decided who's best." And great, who was it? Well, Helen. Well, excellent. This offer her a job. And they said, "Well, there's one thing." What's that? She has a head tattoo.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
A head tattoo? Yeah, half of her head is shaved, and she has a dragon on the side of her head whispering into her ear. And I said, "Oh, okay." Well, I asked, "How was she on the performance interview where she had to do tasks?" She was the best. She blew everyone away. Well, then we got to hire her, and we went to, but word got out in the company, we're hiring someone with a head tattoo, and the president of the company, called me in the office and said, what's going on with this? What are you trying to pull here? And I said, well, she had the best, and there was a lot of resistance, and it came to the time when she's going to start. And I said, it's not going to go down like this. This is good news for us, for the company, and for her, and we're going to celebrate it. So her first day of work, I bought temporary tattoos for all of our department to wear.
Right.
and to make her feel welcome. And other people say, "Oh, I guess you think that's funny." And you mean Helen? Let me tell you about Helen. And it gave us a chance to talk about the topic. She's got a master's in fine arts. Yeah. I can't believe, it was like, wow. And she was an incredible employee. She set the tone for the whole department for the next 6 years. And it was a great thing to do. So a simple kind of fun, but look for the opportunity when something is sour and negative. How can we put a positive light on it? I think that's very doable. So I had give you another virtual one, and this is from Hyatt Corporation.
Oh, right, the Tel Group. Yeah. Yes,
and they assign praise buddies. So someone in a different area that you're gonna, for the next month, you're gonna be, it's like a secret Santa. You're gonna be somebody's praise buddy. I want you to specifically look out for things they're doing well, and to acknowledge and thank them for that. And again, a very simple idea, but very powerful. My son now works at a company which is 100% virtual, and every week they team up 2 people that don't know each other in the company. And so as they go, you get to know more and more people, and you learn what they do, and you kind of see how that relates to what you do. And again, you don't have to be all in the same room to build a culture and to build a strong team.
Yeah. I've presented many events and in places like San Antonio, and one of my little tricks is to get somebody to break the ice, get them talking to the next door person and say, what are you proud of? And sometimes the noise in the room is phenomenal from it. Everybody talks about, I'm proud of what I've done in work, I'm proud of my kids and everything, and it The buzz then is incredible. Bob, meeting you and Mario has been both a pleasure and fun. It's a valuable book, this, that provides continuity of ideas for fun at work. And I think it translates into the continuity and growth of a business. Thanks, Dr. Bob Nelson.
Malcolm, the only thing I'm sad about is the fact that our interview's ending, because I could talk to you all day. You are an excellent interviewer, and I can see why your show is so successful.